Welcome to G Fun Facts Online, the show that digs deep into the science and history of our amazing world. Today, we're traveling back in time, way back, to a period that for a long time, historians thought was, well, a bit boring. We're going to 300,000 years ago. For decades, this era was seen as a long, quiet prelude to the main event, the rise of us, Homo sapiens. But get ready to have that picture completely shattered. Recent discoveries from all over the world, from the humid forests of ancient China to the icy plains of England, have revealed that this was anything but a static chapter. This was a world buzzing with innovation, diversity, and incredible leaps in thinking. Early humans weren't just surviving. They were crafting, planning, and shaping their world in ways we are only just beginning to understand. These aren't just rocks and sticks we're talking about. These are the tangible thoughts of our ancestors, artifacts that tell a complex, branching story of humanity. They challenge old theories and force us to ask a fundamental question: what does it really mean to be human? So grab your archaeological trowel, because we're about to unearth the incredible ingenuity of our 300,000-year-old relatives. Let's start our journey in a place you might not expect. A waterlogged patch of ground in southwest China. For an archaeologist, finding ancient wood is like finding a winning lottery ticket. Organic materials almost never survive for thousands, let alone hundreds of thousands of years. They rot, decay, and vanish, leaving only the most durable things, like stone, behind. This is what makes the Gantangqing archaeological site in Yunnan province so revolutionary. Buried deep in oxygen-poor, muddy clay on the shore of an ancient lake, scientists have found a treasure trove. 35 perfectly preserved wooden tools, all dating back around 300,000 years. These are the earliest wooden tools ever found in all of East Asia. Now, this discovery solves a puzzle that has bugged archaeologists for decades, known as the bamboo hypothesis. You see, for a long time, the stone tools found in East Asia looked much simpler than the fancy, elaborate handaxes being made in Africa and Europe at the same time. This led some to believe that early humans in the East were technologically, well, behind the curve. The bamboo hypothesis suggested an alternative. What if they weren't using stone for everything? What if they had a sophisticated toolkit made from perishable materials like wood and bamboo, which simply rotted away, leaving no trace? The Gantangqing finds are the first hard proof that this was exactly the case. So, what were these tools? The collection includes large, two-handed digging sticks and smaller, pointed implements, most carved from pine. Scientists put them under the microscope and found something incredible. On the tips of these tools, they found microscopic, fossilized plant starch grains. This was the smoking gun. These weren't spears for hunting mammoths. These were foraging tools, used to dig for and process edible plants, like roots and tubers. They even found some unique hook-shaped tools that might have been used to slice through tough roots underground. This paints a vivid picture of life 300,000 years ago, in a warm, humid, subtropical forest. These hominins weren't big-game hunters. They were master foragers, with a deep, sophisticated understanding of their local plant life. The sheer craftsmanship, the deliberate shaping, carving, and smoothing of the wood shows incredible foresight and skill. This wasn't primitive. This was a technology perfectly adapted to its environment. It shows us that there wasn't just one way to be a successful early human. While the hominins of Gantangqing were mastering the forest floor, their contemporaries on the other side of the world were taking a very different path. Let's hop over to Ice Age England, specifically to Kent. Here, in deep sediments from the same time period, archaeologists found a completely different kind of toolkit. Over 800 stone artifacts, but among them were two that defied belief: giant handaxes. A handaxe is the classic tool of the Acheulean tradition, a teardrop-shaped stone, carefully chipped on both sides to create a sharp edge, probably for butchering animals. But these were on another level. The largest one measures a staggering 29.5 centimeters, nearly a foot long. It's so big and heavy, it's hard to imagine anyone using it comfortably with one hand. This has led to a fascinating debate. Was this a practical tool for taking apart the massive animals that roamed the area, like mammoths and elephants? Or was it something else entirely? Could it have been a symbolic object? A way for a skilled toolmaker to show off their strength, their status, and their artistry? We don't know for sure, but the very existence of these giant tools points to the complex capabilities and potentially rich social dynamics of the people who made them. And the variety of technology at the time is just stunning. If we look to Germany, we find the famous Schöningen spears. Also dating to around 300,000 years ago, these are finely crafted wooden hunting weapons found alongside butchered horse bones. They show a clear focus on hunting large animals in the cold European grasslands, a lifestyle in stark contrast to the plant-oriented foraging we saw in China. We have plant-digging specialists in China and big game hunting specialists in Europe. But the biggest technological story of this era wasn't about wood or giant axes. It was a revolution in thinking, preserved in stone. This leap forward is called the Levallois technique. Emerging around 300,000 years ago, this method was a complete game changer. Before Levallois, you took a rock and chipped away at it until the rock itself became your tool, like a hand axe. The Levallois method is far more abstract. Instead of shaping the core into a tool, you carefully prepare the core first, with the goal of striking off a single, perfect flake of a predetermined size and shape. The napper would trim the edges of the core, giving it a distinctive tortoiseshell look. Then, with one final, decisive strike, they would pop off the finished tool. This required a level of thinking we hadn't seen before. It demanded abstract thought, the ability to see the final product inside the raw material before you even start. It required multi-stage planning and foresight. This was like the difference between just grilling a steak and following a complex recipe with multiple prep stages to create a gourmet meal. It was a huge cognitive leap, so significant that archaeologists call it Mode 3 technology. For a long time, the story went that this advanced technology was confined to Africa and Europe. There was even a famous idea called the Mobius line, an imaginary line drawn across the map that separated the supposedly advanced West from a conservative East. But just like the Gantangjing wooden tools, recent discoveries have completely overturned this old idea. Scientists have now found evidence of Levallois technology at sites in southwest China. They've even found another sophisticated European technique, called quina, in China as well. The Mobius line is dead. The technological world of the Middle Pleistocene was far more dynamic and innovative everywhere than we ever gave it credit for. This incredible diversity of tools, from digging sticks to giant axes to Levallois flakes, begs the question, who were these brilliant toolmakers? This wasn't a world of just one human species. It was a diverse landscape of different hominin groups. In East Asia, the identity of the Gantangjing toolmakers is a mystery. They could have been Denisovans, the enigmatic sister group to Neanderthals, who we know mostly from tiny fragments of bone and DNA. Another incredible possibility comes from a site called Hualongdong in eastern China. Here, archaeologists found a treasure trove of 300,000-year-old fossils from at least 20 individuals, including a nearly complete skull. These fossils are fascinating. They show a unique mosaic of features, some primitive, like you'd see in older Homo erectus, but others, like a flatter face and the beginnings of a chin, that are hallmarks of our own species, Homo sapiens. These Hualongdong people are considered the earliest evidence in East Asia of a population on the evolutionary road to us. And they weren't just anatomically interesting. They had a designated dining hall area where they processed food with finely crafted tools, suggesting a high level of social organization. Meanwhile, in Europe, the creators of the giant hand axes and the Schöningen spears were likely a species called Homo heidelbergensis, or their direct descendants, the early Neanderthals. The Neanderthal lineage was already well established in Europe, having evolved from African ancestors who migrated out much earlier. These were not the brutish cavemen of popular cartoon. They were highly adaptable, with large brains and robust bodies, skilled hunters and craftspeople who thrived across Eurasia for hundreds of thousands of years. So we have this incredible cast of characters, all living and innovating at the same time. The tools they left behind are more than just survival implements. They are windows into the evolving human mind. The sheer complexity of making a Levallois flake or a perfectly balanced wooden spear required a whole suite of advanced cognitive skills. You needed foresight to plan the design. You needed excellent working memory to hold all the steps in your head at once. And you needed complex problem-solving skills to adapt to the specific piece of stone or wood you were working with. This leap in complexity also points to one of the most crucial human traits of all: cumulative culture. This is the idea that knowledge and innovations are passed down from one generation to the next, with each generation adding or refining the process. This is how technology builds on itself. No single person could invent a smartphone from scratch in their lifetime. It's the result of generations of cumulative knowledge. The same principle was at work 300,000 years ago. The regional styles, the digging sticks in China, the hunting spears in Germany, weren't just random. They were distinct cultural traditions, passed down and honed over millennia within local populations. The sites themselves give us whispers of their social lives. The family group at Hualongdong, the cooperative hunting required to take down a mammoth. These things would have demanded communication, coordination, and strong social bonds. This social environment was the crucible where complex skills were forged and transmitted. So let's zoom back out. The world of 300,000 years ago, once thought of as a quiet waiting room in the story of humanity, was in fact one of the most critical and formative periods in our history. It was an age of explosive innovation, where our ancestors, spread across vast continents, developed an amazing diversity of sophisticated solutions to the challenges of life. The echoes from this distant past, carried to us in wood and stone, have completely reshaped our understanding of who we are and where we come from. They tell us that human progress was never a single straight line. It was a beautiful, branching tree of diverse cultures and traditions. They reveal that the hominins of this era, whether early Neanderthals in Europe or a mysterious new form of human in Asia, possessed advanced minds capable of planning, abstract thought, and passing on their wisdom. The discovery of these 300,000-year-old tools reminds us that the journey to modern humanity wasn't a solo performance. It was an ensemble act, played out by a diverse cast of human forms across the vast stage of the ancient world. Each tool, from a humble digging stick to a magnificent oversized handaxe, is a testament to the ingenuity and resilience that has always been the hallmark of our lineage. They are the echoes of early humanity, and they continue to shape the story of us all. Thanks for tuning in to G Fun Facts Online. Join us next time as we uncover more incredible stories from the past.